The best science fiction movies don't look out so much as they do in. They take extreme circumstances and see how humanity responds to these situations. Denis Villeneuve's Arrival takes this to the extreme. Despite dealing with time travel, alternate storylines, interstellar travel, and futuristic technologies, the film stays grounded. It still focuses on humanity and how people, that is, everyday citizens, people in the media and government and military, respond to an alien invasion. The film takes these circumstances to look at how humanity responds to a crisis, and that is, we find the people who are best for the job and put them to work. At first, this film appears to have an age-old message, and that is humanity works best when humanity works together. When Louise and Ian first meet, one thing is set up, and that is conflict.
Well, the cornerstone of civilization isn't language, it's science.
These are people who have two vastly different worldviews. Ian takes a mathematical approach to try and solve the problem at hand, while Louise tries to connect with the heptapods. She forms a bond with them, which is essential to the communication she is later able to do with them. But they put these differences aside and find a way to work together to make the most out of the situation that they are in. This movie shows the importance of teamwork. Louise may be in charge of the operation, but her work requires the assistance of Ian and also the engineers working behind the scenes to create new technologies that allow her to communicate with the heptapods. Without everybody working together to try and communicate with them, they wouldn't have been able to succeed. This message on its own is powerful, but I think that it came out at the perfect time. 2016 was undeniably a very tumultuous year across the globe.
The British people have voted to leave the European Union.
Donald Trump wins the presidency.
But it doesn't matter where you fall on the political spectrum, which politicians you support, or which bills, laws, and decisions you believe in. People need to work together if we want to succeed. If you disagree with someone else's views, well, that's fine. In fact, that's great. The ability to choose and create our own thoughts is what makes us human. So don't try and write other people's opinions off as inferior because you don't see eye to eye with them. Respect their opinion in the same way they should respect yours. But if you take anything away from this video, please let it be this. Disagreeing with someone doesn't make them a bad person. We are all human, and if we want to be able to succeed, we need to work together. This message itself is important, but what I find just as impressive is how this message is relayed and how the story is told. This movie creates a parallel between the heptapod language and the film's structure itself. It's a movie that relies on assumptions, and the assumptions of the audience that the film is going to follow the rules of most other films that we have seen. An oversaturated scene cutting to a darker scene is one that implies a flashback, and one that implies past traumatic events. But as we all know, we're not watching flashbacks. Instead, we are seeing flash forwards and future traumatic events. As the film continues, more and more flash forwards continue as Louise starts to learn and understand the language better. The glimpses into her future become more revealing, focusing not only on her daughter, but also the relationship she will have with Ian in the future once she knows how to speak the language. While watching, it would be safe to assume the reason that we don't see her husband is that he left. Not that they had not been romantically involved together yet, because that is not something that we traditionally see in movies. Once the film starts to reveal some things, it doesn't reveal everything. In this scene, it is revealed that Ian is the father.
It's you and Dad. The show is called Mommy and Daddy Talk to Animals.
But it still doesn't reveal everything unless the audience is willing to think of it as a non-linear narrative. But just like most people don't want to think of language as anything but linear, that is how most people choose to view films, as simply linear. However, after rewatching the film, we as the audience have been given the tool, or the weapon, and we can view it in the correct chronological timeline, where after the main narrative, Louise and Ian have Hannah, who is diagnosed with a rare disease. When Ian found out Louise could have prevented this, he left and Louise raised Hannah on her own, before her eventual death in which Louise was left alone. The movie itself is circular. The end of the story is placed at the beginning of the chronological movie timeline. But Louise's story can also be seen as circular. At the beginning, she is at the same place as she is at the end, which is alone. Below the surface level story, this film offers a lot of different moral and ethical questions regarding free will and how we learn. In this film, the Sapir-Whorf hypothesis is brought into question. If you don't remember, this hypothesis states that the structure of a language determines or greatly influences the modes of thought and behavior characteristic of the culture in which it is spoken. This tells us a lot about the different characters in the movie and how they think, which explains a lot of the decisions that they make. Earlier I mentioned the contrast between Ian and Louise, how Ian thinks mathematically while Louise takes a much more human approach. The Sapir-Whorf hypothesis helps explain some of the choices that they both make later down the line. Ian is someone who wants to have life be what it is. He's very mathematical, everything should have a purpose and a reason. In this scene, he says that he wouldn't want to change his future if he could see what would happen. Meanwhile, Louise, through even asking the question, shows that she would be in favor of changing it if it meant making the world a better place. These are two people who think differently, perhaps naturally. The languages are spoken, and people's culture aren't the only determinants of how people think. Their life experiences and their work and their day-to-day encounterings are just as important. Now, this film puts a lot of emphasis on the relationship between fate and free will, and what that means when you can see your future. The film never overtly says that people have a say in their destiny. The common rationale is that if you can see your future, you don't have a say on where you will go or what you will do. But that is only true when you think about it from a linear perspective, and as we know, Arrival is far from linear. In this scene, Louise explains how the heptapod language works. You need to know the beginning, middle, and end of the sentence. The same theory applies to their mastery of time. The heptapods see past, present, and future as one. They still make decisions, but they don't do it in the way that we think about it. They still choose to go to Earth to save their species from extinction. Abbott chooses to go to Earth knowing full well that he will die. Similarly, Louise still has the power of free will, even though she can see what will happen next. She still chooses to name her daughter Hannah, and she still chooses to have a daughter knowing full well what will happen to her. She chooses to accept where her life is going because she knows her life has more purpose when it goes the route that it was intended to go. I'll end this video by saying that we do have free will, and we have the ability to choose, and the ability to choose to work together or go our own separate ways, and that humanity works best when humanity works together.